Most people think an AI agent is just a smarter chatbot. It is not. A chatbot can be wrong. An agent can be wrong with your permissions. That difference sounds small until the agent reads the wrong file, sends the wrong email, updates the wrong ticket, pushes the wrong code, or remembers the wrong thing forever. So in this video, I'm not going to show you the latest buttons to click. Buttons change every month. I am going to show you the operating model underneath every serious agent and the one question you should ask before you let any agent act for you. I am not going to tell you that question yet, but by the end, it is the only thing on this board that will matter. Get it right, and Codex, Claude, Cursor, Gemini, N8N, LangGraph, and CrewAI all become much easier to reason about. Get it wrong, and it does not matter which one you picked. Here is the simplest, accurate definition. An agent is a model in a loop. You give it a goal. It decides what it needs next. It may call a tool. It observes what came back. Then it decides the next step. That loop is the difference between write me a summary and go find the source, read the files, compare the numbers, draft the summary, and ask me before sending it. The model is still the brain, but the loop is what turns the brain into a worker. Around that loop are the real operating parts: instructions, tools, state, memory, orchestration, guardrails, approvals, logs, and traces. That is the map, not the product name, not the logo, not the newest feature. Before we go further, there is one distinction that saves a lot of confusion. Not every useful AI system needs to be a fully dynamic agent. Sometimes you want a workflow. Step 1, then step 2, then step 3. The model may help inside each step, but the path is fixed. Other times you want an agent. The model decides which step comes next because the task is messy. If you are sending the same daily report every morning, a workflow is probably better. If you are investigating why a customer churned, pulling notes, tickets, emails, calls, and then deciding what to inspect next, an agent starts to make sense. The mistake is using autonomy, where a simple workflow would be more reliable. The pro move is not make everything an agent. The pro move is use the least amount of autonomy that gets the job done. The first thing around the loop is instructions. Different tools call this different things: project instructions, system prompts, agents.md, Claude.md, cursor rules, or skills. But the job is the same. Tell the agent what kind of worker it is supposed to be. A useful instruction file has 5 parts: what role the agent is playing, what outcome matters, what rules it must follow, which tools it is allowed to use, and where it must stop and ask. Most people only write preferences like be concise or write clean code. That helps, but it is not enough. The real leverage is in boundaries. Never send email without approval. Never edit migrations unless I ask directly. Use read-only mode for customer data. If a task touches money, credentials, external messages, or production systems, stop and ask. That is not style guidance. That is operational control. If this is the kind of practical agent breakdown you want more of, subscribe. I am building this whole series from the operator side, not the hype side. Now we get to the part where an agent stops being a conversation and starts affecting your world. A browser tool lets it navigate websites. A file tool lets it read or write your project. An email tool lets it draft or send messages. A database tool lets it query production data. A deploy tool lets it ship code. Same model, completely different risk. This is why the question is not, is this model smart? The question is, what can this model do if it is wrong? When you connect a tool, think in scopes. Can it read? Can it write? Can it send? Can it delete? Can it spend money? Can it expose private data? The safest default is read-only first. Then ask before write. Then narrow write access only for tasks you have watched it handle correctly. For anything external, like sending email, posting to Slack, changing permissions, deleting records, or deploying code, the default should be confirm before act. But confirm at which level? Because there is more than one. That is a ladder. and we are going to climb it. Okay, instructions, tools. That is the setup everybody talks about. Now here's the part that quietly breaks agents in production, and almost nobody demos it, because everything I have shown you so far assumes the agent is wrong once. Memory is what happens when it is wrong forever. Memory is where agents start to feel personal. They remember how you like reports formatted. They remember your project names. They remember that you hate long summaries. They remember that a customer brief should always include open risks. That is useful, but memory is not magic. Memory is data the system stores and retrieves later. And because it is data, it can be stale, wrong, private, or poisoned. If an agent saves the wrong preference, it does not just make one bad output. It can keep making the same bad output. So memory needs review. For low-risk preferences, memory can be automatic. For business rules, customer facts, personal data, credentials, finance, legal, or anything that changes how the agent acts, memory should be visible and editable. You should be able to ask, what do you remember? Why did you retrieve this? When was it saved? Who approved it? And how do I delete it? But you cannot review a memory you cannot see. Hold that thought. Tools let an agent act. Triggers let it act when you are not watching. That is a huge shift. An agent you manually run has one risk profile. An agent that wakes up every morning, reads your calendar, checks email, searches the web, writes a brief, and saves it to Notion has another. And an agent that sends that brief to your whole team is another level again. Same task, different blast radius. This is where people get automation wrong. They think trust is binary. Either I trust the agent or I do not. That is not how you should think. Trust should be attached to the action. Reading your public calendar is low risk. Drafting a private note is medium risk. Sending that note to 20 people is high risk. The trigger is not the problem. The trigger plus broad permissions is the problem. I will put the Safe Agent checklist version of this in the description. Subscribe if you want the follow-up where we build it as a real setup. Here's the trust ladder I would use for almost every agent setup. Level 0. Denied. Some actions should not be available at all. Production credentials, payment movement, deleting customer data, changing security settings, private HR information. If the agent does not need it, remove it. Level 1. Read only. The agent can inspect, summarize, search, compare, and explain. Level 2. Draft only. The agent can prepare a response, a pull request, a ticket, a report, or an email, but it cannot send or merge. Level 3. Confirm, then act. The agent can take the action only after showing you exactly what it will do and getting approval. Level 4. Auto act. The agent can execute without you in the loop, but this should be earned. Auto act is for tasks where the cost of failure is low, the action is reversible, logs are available, and you have watched the agent succeed repeatedly. If this goes wrong, what breaks? If the answer is a customer relationship, money, production data, private information, or your reputation, keep a human in the loop. Subscribe for the next one. I am going to turn this ladder into an actual agent setup template you can use. There is one last piece that separates demos from real systems. You need to see what happened. If an agent gives a bad answer, you need to know whether the problem was the instruction, the retrieval, the tool selection, the tool input, the tool output, the approval policy, or the final response. That is what traces are for. A trace is the receipt for the agent work. And once you have traces, you can evaluate the system. Did it complete the task? Did it follow the instruction? Did it pick the right tool? Did it pass the right arguments? Did it use the tool output correctly? Did it stop when it was supposed to stop? Without this, you are vibe checking automation. With it, you are operating a system. No trace means no trust. No eval means no improvement. So here's the whole picture. An agent is a model in a loop. Instructions give it a job. Tools give it reach. Memory gives it continuity. Triggers give it timing. Permissions give it power. Guardrails and approvals define where it stops. Logs, traces, and evals show you what actually happened, and the trust ladder decides how much autonomy it deserves. That is the setup. Not install every connector, not make it fully autonomous, not hope the model is smart enough. The right question is, if this agent is wrong, what can it do? Answer that honestly, then design the permissions around it. Because the future is not one perfect AI agent. The future is people who know how to safely give agents work.